Yep.
I liked my dad. I liked me and my dad. I liked my dad because he didn't seem to follow the rules the other grown-ups did. He let me watch R-rated movies and show me how to sneak into movie theaters. We bought our 4th of July fireworks from an Indian reservation and used them to blow up slugs. The only time he seemed like a real adult was when he was paying bills or being sad about my mom. When a child has only one parent, the importance of that parent cannot be overstated. Unfortunately, single parents are human just like the rest of us, and being human are bound to make some mistakes. The following is a memory of bitterness and regret, but also of tenderness and love. Presenting The Littlest Hitler by Ryan Bodenot. Then there was the time I went as Hitler for Halloween. I wore tan polyester pants and one of my dad's khaki shirts. He painted a swastika on a red bandana and tied it around my upper arm. He gave my hair that plastered, parted style, and we clipped the sides off a 50-cent mustache and adhered it to my upper lip. My dad laughed and said, "You're gonna be the scariest kid in the 4th grade. I guarantee it." When I got to school, Mrs. Thompson considered me for a moment, seeming both amused and disturbed by the implications of a 4th grade Hitler. When she called roll, I stood up sharply from my desk and did the salute I'd been practicing. Here! Yes! After roll was taken, we took out our spelling books, but Mrs. Thompson had other ideas. Some of you might have noticed there's a historical figure in our class today. It looks like Davy's the only one who chose to come as a real live person. I'm a real live person too, Miss Thompson. And who would you be, Lizette? I'm Anne Frank. I never paid much attention to Lizette before, but when I saw her rise from her desk with a lopsided Star of David pinned to her chest, I could feel the heat of her 9-year-old loathing pounding me in the face. Really, Dad? This is quite interesting. Seeing as you both came as figures from World War II, perhaps you could educate us about what you did, Davy. If you could tell us what you know about Hitler. He was a really mean guy. He made a war, killed a bunch of people. What people did he kill? He killed all the Jews. Not all the Jews, fortunately, but millions of them, including Anne Frank. The classroom was riveted. I didn't know whether I was in trouble or what. Lizette smirked at me when Mrs. Thompson said her character's name, and then waltzed to the front of the room to tell us about her. Anne Frank lived in Holland during World War II, and when the Nazis invaded, she lived in someone else's attic. She wrote in her diary every day, and she wanted to write for a newspaper when she grew up, but then the Nazis got her and her family and took them to a concentration camp and killed them. A concentration camp is a place where they burn people in ovens, and then someone found her diary, and everyone liked it. When Lizette was done, everyone clapped. Recess was a nightmare. I was followed around by Lizette's friends who were berating me for Anne Frank's death. And then someone started passing around a piece of paper that said, we were on Anne Frank's side, and everyone signed it. Lizette, for whatever reason, got to lead the Halloween parade that day. I was stuck between Becky Lewis and her cat costume and Doug Becker, who was dressed as a garden. His parents were artists. My dad was genuinely disappointed when he learned of my classmates' reactions. Everyone knows you're not prejudiced. It's Halloween, for crying out loud. We drove to the school's Halloween carnival in a pickup called the Fleetwood Mac. carnival was awful. All of the candy they handed out was sugarless because one kid in 6th grade had diabetes and we all had to be fair to him. My dad was walking around the perimeter of the gym, not mingling with any of the other adults. I could tell he didn't really want to be there, so when I said I was ready to go, he nodded and said it was time to do some serious trick-or-treating. That night, we were the closest of co-conspirators. In the Fleetwood Mac, we sang along to the Steve Miller's Greatest Hits tape and picked the richest neighborhoods to trick-or-treat in. We went door to door, my dad standing behind me. So, did you have a good Halloween after all? My dad asked as he walked me up to my room that night. I nodded. I put on my PJs, pulled the covers up over my face, and let him bite my nose through the blanket. Like he did every night. Later, when I could hear him snoring through the bedroom wall, I tiptoed to his room. Good night, Dad.